but the education they're getting, first of all, is from the Western countries, which makes it harder to adapt. So there is lack of adaptability for new technology because they're not used to it. So lack of the adaptability takes time, and by the time they adapt, technology is already gone. It's already gone, so it becomes absolute. And so, and when they graduate, these people graduate from technology, they don't really know what to do with those knowledge. They don't know. Like somebody in Africa can learn about, I don't know, mathematical formulas. They can learn about physics. They can be good on those things. But if they don't have a foundation, where to apply that physics, where to apply that knowledge, that research within that continent, it's gonna be really hard, you know. But when they come to the US or Europe or China, they become more productive. That's how we do. We come here, become productive, and you ask yourself, why these people coming here becoming more smarter than when they were there? Because we are given this much level of knowledge. We're supposed to start from here. So having people become more productive and is the key. And what China did, China made their own people produce. No education, no school, just produce food, use their own technology that they had from their own, then combine that with the labor. So if somebody in Africa, let's say in Uganda, you had people who are farmers, right? These Ugandan farmers, you could simply just empower them to produce more large amount of food, let them become more knowledgeable on the food they produce. Then after that, you can eventually incorporate other things like machines, right? Then once the productivity goes up, then you can blend in other things like schools, education, research, and that will come. Then, you know, if I'm in United States and I'm studying economics, I have options to say I want to go back to my country, Uganda, and practice my economics background, because there is already the foundation is already built. So the idea here is that nations tend to focus more on, for the last 20, 50 years from now to now, other nations have been focusing more on throwing in the money, throwing in education, throwing in technology, by forgetting that the foundations are needed. If those foundations are not made, it's not gonna make any, much difference. So that's all I have today. Like always, thanks for watching. Bye bye. Ciao ciao. Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. As you can see, once again, I am making the video inside my closet. Just want to make a disclaimer. There's gonna be somebody behind the room cussing, making noise. So this so happen when you live in a house where you have people don't go to school, and you know you have to. That's why I'm planning on moving, because I just got home and have a peace of mind and sleep. But friends of mine are watching the game. So if you hear something cussing, please YouTube don't ban my video. It's not me. Someone is cussing behind the scene. So anyways, today I woke up in the morning again. Now instead of waking up at 7:25, now I'm waking up at 7:20, 7 o'clock. And I can make meals, eat, take shower, take a little bit of break, chill around, and have some breakfast before I catch the bus. So today I spent so much time doing homework. I spent time just doing something in general, doing some miscellaneous work. I applied for one job at World Bank for a program called Young Professional, and I'm focusing on private equity. It's been really hard to break into the industry right now, because all companies are sort of rolling out all the AI and with the tariffs, it's been really tough to land like any full-time job. So at least today I submitted one applications, but again I have so much homeworks piling up. I have another one tomorrow that needs to be done, so all of that is sort of making me really harder for me to apply for a job or even have time to apply for a job. Today I got another rejection. Actually today I had two rejections. One is from JP Morgan Chase. It's for the investment banking analyst here in Washington DC. Another one was for a smaller company based in Bethesda, in Maryland. So two rejections. I'm getting used to it, but I think reporting this rejection will remind me, in the future, once I get a job, because I know I'm gonna get a job, I'm gonna have to come back to this video and watch them. And every rejection I get, the more likely, if I get a job, I'm going to be asking for a raise. I'm going to be less nicer. These things doesn't really make you conform. It makes you tougher, makes you raise the bar. So I hope that somebody who behind the keyboard clicking reject knows that things can turn southwest at any moment. But other than that, I've just been on homework. I attended AWS workshop. So yeah, I really don't know much about to do right now. I think just gonna keep applying and see what goes, what happens. So then I came back home late. Today my friends convinced me to go to dining hall, get some food. So I went to the dining hall, and then I was actually able to enjoy some food. They have all buffet, all you can eat. So no more buying from the restaurant, no more buying from the grocery store. I can just go in and eat chicken, because I spend $7, sometimes $8 on a chicken, the whole bat, because I got the gym, 2 chickens per week. But with this money for the school, I can actually go in and eat all I want, and every food I want, every single calories I want. So I'm just gonna spend $500 on it and see. The second thing is, the thing is, when I eat, like today when I was eating at the hall, by the time I catch the train and I came back home, it was a little bit late. So the bus was already gone. The bus doesn't work past 10, about 8:30. 8:30 the bus doesn't work, so I have to walk up here. So moving, sounds like the best option to live near campus. And I'm going to schedule that for maybe November 1st, before the winter kicks in, before it starts raining. Also, living close to campus, I can just go out and run. Here I cannot run. Where I live, the whole area is packed, is stacked, and if somebody sees you running outside, it's gonna be like, what are you doing? People here don't exercise. They don't exercise. I haven't seen people here exercising as much. So, and I need to exercise. I need to run and to do some workout, all those things. So yeah, I am also supposed to think about the research. I've been talking about things like AI. I've been talking about things like welfare system. So I'm gonna be choosing our research. Today's class, which had class, it was about the growth of countries, exogenous model and endogenous model, predicting the growth. And it was interesting on how the professor touched on the human capital. Human capital can be things like education, skills, training, and also things like technology, where people have the natural skills, the natural knowledge, people have growth, then capital as well as labor. It was interesting that when you plug in the math, when you plug the mathematical formula into it, and they say you increase the investments in human capital, so you give them educations and everything they want, it doesn't necessarily increase, doesn't fix the problem, doesn't fix the poverty. And the whole purpose of this research is to see if we can emerge poor countries with rich countries to be on the same level. But I'm doing this same level, and this graph pretty much says you can make countries go up, but if countries are only investing in one thing, they won't be able to go up. Last couple of weeks I mentioned how poverty is the biggest problem. Lack of access to resources like food, money, housing, consumption. When people are poor, they don't have access to those things. So fixing poverty first is the key. So what we've been studying so far for the last 2-3 weeks is that, first, can you make poor countries and rich countries grow at the same level? The answer is yes, you can. But when you plug in the math, like the basic math, it shows that, as long as you put in the investments, as long as you put in the money, you build factories, you build offices, and the GDP is not kick off, right? But an example here will be African countries. The African countries back in the 60s, they had investments, like the colonies invested money, they invested in infrastructure, like a lot of schools in Africa built by the colonies. A lot of education systems were on colonies. They have infrastructure. Like last time I had Congo, the boat sink. Like they had a boat sink. When you watch even the documentaries, you can see all the infrastructure are either Russian, Soviet Union, or European. All of this doesn't really help African countries, despite having the ton of technology that they were given back in the 60s. And that's because when you invest in the development, invest in the things that people need, like infrastructure, and you don't invest in people, all of that means nothing. I mean, it's a common sense. Intuitively, you need people to be able to use those tools, right? If you can build the fastest railway station, but people don't know how to fix it, they don't know how it works, it can be challenging. Excuse me. It can be challenging. So what we saw today was that you don't just have to invest in one thing, you have to invest in both, you have to invest in all of them. And China has been one of the countries that I mentioned so many times, and Japan, maybe Japan, not Japan, but Korea was really poor, now it's like the richest. Taiwan, same thing, because at first they had to get rid of poverty. And how do you get rid of poverty? Where you make people produce more things, you make people become more productive. All right, you use humans as capital, right? You don't bring in technology before humans produce. So you use humans first produce. For instance, in Africa, one of the biggest challenges, and I mentioned this before, one of the biggest challenges is food, right? If you can have people produce a large amount of food, then they have to solve that problem. The food issues is gone. Then you can bring in things like technology. Then with technology, you can invest in human capital by giving them education. But what Africa has done, and many nations like United States has done through the USAID and many other programs, is that they have empowered the education right? Like you have this much education,